What's up, guys? It's Art, and I'm up here with a response video of sorts. A lot of you that follow me also follow the Elitist, who is now going by JTE, Jimmy the Elitist. And his return video was him talking about his WWE story. Basically, his journey into becoming a wrestling fan, his journey throughout, leading up to where he is now. And I want to keep this trend going, so I want to discuss my WWE story and how far back I go and everything that's led me to where I am now in terms of WWE and wrestling in general. So if this is something that interests you, feel free to make your own video. If you one of the people out there that has a channel, feel free to make a video like this. Discuss your WWE story. I'd really like to hear it. I'm sure Jimmy the Elitist would like to hear it. Let's keep this trend going, guys. So, my WWE story, funny enough, started 23 years ago today. The very first wrestling memory I have is of the 1998 Survivor Series, the Deadly Games tournament, aka Vince Russo's best booking ever. Not in terms of the matches, but in terms of the story throughout. Going back and watching that now, knowing what happened, and seeing all of the storyline pieces play out the way they do, you can see and you can sense something was going to happen. But they don't outright telegraph that The Rock is going to turn and join the corporation. But there's little subtle hints, if you really pay attention. Like The Rock having just as short a match time as Mankind did. Like he had the quickest match in WWE history, 3 seconds, against Boss Man. That was genius. So, sitting there and not really knowing what was going on, I was enthralled in the story. And my favorite, right from the jump, as soon as I saw him, was Stone Cold Steve Austin. So to see Austin get screwed as well by Shane McMahon in his match against Mankind, I believe it was the semifinals, where Shane goes 1, 2, and flips him off, that pissed me off so bad that I wanted Shane McMahon's ass beat. Like, it was awesome. But sitting there watching that with my dad, it's one of the very few positive memories I have of him, by the way. That got me hooked, and I was an immediate fan. I had to see what was going to happen from then on, and I watched pretty religiously after that. I would skip between WWE and WCW because I was also into the NWO, especially in '99 with the Wolfpack. But sorry, but I was pretty religiously watching up until early 2003. My family and I were in a bad place financially, and I was in a really dark place, the darkest place I've ever been. So I really didn't care enough to pay attention to the product as much as I probably should have been, because there was some really great wrestling going on in 03, 04. It wasn't until the middle of 05 I started watching again because my family had dug themselves out of the deep, dark place we were in. And we were finally able to get a better place. We were more financially stable. And I came across WWE Classics on demand. Or some people might know it as WWE 24/7. It was an on-demand service back when people actually had to have cable boxes. Shockingly, there are some people that follow me who have never had a cable box. They only know streaming services, and that's fucking scary. Anyway, yeah, I remember the WWE 24/7 service. I would watch every Raw, every Nitro. I would watch Primetime Wrestling, all the old MSG shows they put up. I would watch everything all the time. I couldn't get enough. And I would say that I've been religiously watching wrestling ever since. Yeah, there's been a few points, especially when I was in high school, where I would slip up and I wouldn't watch every week, or I'd take like a month or two where I wouldn't watch. But for the most part, I was watching. But I wasn't really enjoying it like I thought I should be, like I used to, like when I was a kid. And I was questioning whether or not I should keep watching. And this is about the spring of 2011. And then the summer of Punk happened. And seeing Punk cut that promo in Vegas, the pipe bomb, and seeing what would become of him over the next 6 months to a year, or a year plus, reinvigorated me as a fan. Like, CM Punk became my new favorite wrestler during that time. And everything he did had me on the edge of my seat, had me glued to the TV screen. I loved CM Punk. And by proxy, I was becoming a fan of the product again. Not saying it was perfect. After all, we did have heel Michael Cole, and the shitty NXT. But, excuse me, for the most part, it was fun. It was a fun time for me to come back and watch. I got to see my favorite wrestler. I got to see the return of The Rock. Never thought I'd see him back in a wrestling ring, honestly, after he went to Hollywood. You had him and Cena. You had Punk and Jericho. You had the return of Brock Lesnar, which was huge. Like, all these big names coming back, mixed in with the younger talent, like a Punk, like a Ziggler, who I liked back then. He wasn't overbearing like he is now. You had guys like Sheamus, Daniel Bryan, Cody Rhodes, Zack Ryder, Kofi Kingston, mixed in with all the talent that had come in from the Ruthless Aggression era. And the roster was stacked. Like, I couldn't get enough. Then I pretty much was watching religiously just Raw, though, because SmackDown was really bad from like 2012 to like 2016. It was basically a Raw recap show with a few 5-minute matches thrown in. Basically what it is today, minus Roman Reigns. But Then 2015 came around, and that's when I started my original channel, the one that is no longer with us. Rest in peace, 4,000 subs. But I started that channel in May of 2015, and watching all the old pay-per-views again that I had seen dozens of times growing up, and reviewing them for the channel, it reinvigorated me. It like reinvigorated me, if that's even a word. And I wrestling became my number one passion. And it still is. Wrestling is my passion. Talking about wrestling, watching wrestling, anything involving pro wrestling is my passion. It's what I love talking about most. It's what I love watching most. It is the part of my childhood that I can still hold on to. I can still find enjoyment in. I can still feel like a kid watching all these shows. But in starting the YouTube channel and reviewing all these shows, I became so much more well versed, I should say, in other promotions outside of the mainstream ones, WWE, WCW, ECW. I became more in tune with Ring of Honor, TNA, or Impact Wrestling, New Japan, all of these promotions all around the world that I had seen them mentioned in like Pro Wrestling Illustrated and all this, but I never really sat down and watched them. But actually sitting down and watching them and reviewing them for the channel, I've come to find that there's more to pro wrestling than just WWE and, WCW, ECW. There is a whole pro wrestling universe out there where you don't have to just watch WWE. You can watch New Japan, you can watch AEW, you can watch Impact, you can watch ROH, you can watch MLW, you can watch everything. And then, honestly, if I didn't start this YouTube channel, honestly, I might not know about 95% of the wrestling that I watch now. And that's straight facts. I would still be just this WWE Gomer who watches nothing but Raw, SmackDown, NXT, you name it. So, in essence, starting this channel not only reinvigorated my love of WWE, but it also helped me expand my horizons, helped me expand my wrestling palette, if you will. So I can enjoy something stupid like a Monday Night Raw or SmackDown. I can enjoy a New Japan Pro Wrestling, some of the best work rate in the world. I can enjoy AEW, which is a damn near perfect mix of everything. You got brawling, you've got technical, you've got great women's work, you've got a good mid-card, good main event scene. You've got everything in AEW. Like, the wrestling world is maybe not at an all-time high in terms of viewership or, the casual fan. It's nowhere near where it was in the 90s. 20 million people watching Raw and Raw and Nitro combined. But in terms of passionate, devoted wrestling fans, I don't think there's been a time ever where fans are more devoted to the product. For good or for bad. If someone is loyal to a product out there as a wrestling fan, they are loyal to the core. They love what they love, and if you call them out for it, they will defend what they love with all of their heart and their soul. Like I said, good or bad, that's for you to determine, but the passion is there that I don't really think was truly there in the 90s, early 2000s. It felt more like people jumping on the bandwagon because wrestling was cool all of a sudden. Wrestling's not cool and hip these days. So, if you admit you like wrestling in today's modern society, you probably are one of the hardcore fans, or somebody like me or like Jimmy the Elitist who do this on YouTube and talk about wrestling. So, but that's my quick synopsis, my quick WWE story in a nutshell. Like I said at the beginning, if you guys out there have channels, please share your WWE story. Make a video. Either talk to your camera or talk on your mic and share your WWE story. I'm sure Jimmy the Elitist would like to hear your story. I know I would like to hear it. So, all the people that follow me, all the people that follow him, make a video. Share your story. I would really like to hear it. If you're new here, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. You know the drill. And until next time, this is your boy Art, and I'm out. Peace!